nervous about this. So it's interesting when we were trying to come up with the title for this presentation. It was originally 150 million installs, and then yet the conference was like 3 months in advance, and so we had to kind of project whether or not to print 150 million installs or 175. So luckily we forecasted correctly. So it is lessons from 175 million installs. So what is Dubsmash? Dubsmash, you may have seen it somewhere. It is a lip-syncing video selfie app. What is that? Basically what we do is we allow users to apply sounds to their videos and create fun videos that they can share with their friends. And you see a couple of different videos that are some of my favorite. Now, interesting fact, so we actually do now finally, in the 2-year lifespan of Dubsmash, have 175 million installs. Cumulatively, we have spent €0 on marketing. So the question I ask myself coming here is, why the hell am I here at an app promotion summit talking about Dubsmash's virality? Well, what I think is so the natural thing is to talk about virality, but what I want to do here more than talking about Dubsmash's story is really to pull some insights from out of it, to really contextualize what virality is, what virality isn't, and then hopefully be able to apply it to different companies as they think about building products and then marketing themselves. So a little bit about me. So James alluded, I do have a pretty odd background. So I started off my professional career in the Army as a special operations medic in the bush of Afghanistan. After college, I enjoyed my time in consulting. Look at how happy I am. I was at McKinsey for about 2 years as a business analyst. And then finally, I found my calling as a startup entrepreneur. So I actually worked at Groupon in Chicago. I founded my own startup. It was an ad tech startup. And then finally, am now running product at Dubsmash. And I joined Dubsmash as their first product manager. All right, so the agenda, I guess, will be to how do we harness virality? The 3 R's, I'll go into what the 3 R's here in a bit. And then finally, building sustainable acquisition. So harnessing virality. It's not simply just a phenomenon. It's not something that just happens. It's something that I believe that you can engineer, whether it's accidental or intentional. So Dubsmash, very, very frankly, scaled prematurely. Let me give you a little bit of the backstory. Dubsmash was 6 weeks, so Mobile Motion, the holding company, was 6 weeks away from running out of cash. And so the founders needed to experiment with something that would be a little bit more successful. So what they did was they actually put up a bunch of ideas. They said, listen, we're just going to try it, we're going to ship it, and we're going to see what happens. So when they built Dubsmash they built Dubsmash in an afternoon. In the first week, they got 8,000 installs. Second week, 150,000 installs. And then finally, at 21 days, they had 1 million installs on Dubsmash. Now, how the hell did they do that? Ooh. So Dubsmash is, by and large, a simple product. What I think, though, that makes it actually grow was that it was an incomplete product. And it was this incompletion which facilitated its viral growth. So if any of you have used Dubsmash in its extremely early days, you may recognize this screen. Most people don't, because this was the very first iteration of it, complete with test sounds. So all you do is you open up the app, there is no login, you press the sound, you preview the sound, and then you eventually go to a recording screen. You go to this recording screen, there's not even a play button, it's a start button. You click on it, you try and keep up with the sound wave on there, and you create a video. You finally get pushed onto this share screen right here, and just notice, right, what you do is you're forced to share externally. So what you do is you actually go and you create your video, you render your video, and you put it on one of these platforms. Now notice the type of platforms that we have on here. You don't see a Twitter, you don't see an Instagram, and if any of you guys are product people, you would know that it's very difficult because they don't have an API that does that. But what you do is you're actually forced to share, and this forced sharing onto your own existing networks is what helped Dubsmash's virality. So you have your intimate social graph, you go on there, you share your video, it's fun with friends, it's an authentic experience, and then people see it and then they replicate it. This facilitated us to create, in 2015, 1.5 billion videos, And this year, we're on track to do the exact same. Now, there's a lot of different types of virality, and we're not going to go deep into it, but what it is the one that applied most to us was imitation virality, where somebody creates a piece of work, and then they attribute it to the utility creating it, and then they want to create it themselves. So let me give you an example. Right here, this is X-Men. It's great. The cast and crew decide that they want to create a dub themselves. And I think the most important part here, surprisingly enough, and product people hate it, it's the watermark. If you didn't see it, there's a watermark there. It's about the watermark. Clearly there's a watermark, and we can talk a little bit about more nuanced things like the 1-to-1 aspect ratio, which helped facilitate Instagram sharing. But it's this watermark right here, which really allowed users to go in, find Dubsmash via Google, and then get onto our website and download the application. And pretty much everybody's doing it now. I really wish we patented this because everybody is doing it. So if you have a visual platform, the natural thing to do is just slap a watermark on it, and you are at least going to get some sort of downloads if your product is interesting. Even Prisma, by the way, which is also a super cool platform, is experiencing a lot of the same type of hypergrowth Dubsmash did, all because of a watermark. Now, virality is engineered is really a takeaway that I want to put out there, but I don't want to say that it is intentional. The virality that Dubsmash had was wholly unintentional. There was intent, but like we weren't that smart, all right? So the virality is engineered, and I think what we can do is when you're designing your product, you're working with people, product-oriented companies, the product actually has to work. The product has to be a destination for people, and you have to be able to pull out some insights from this. The 3 R's is something that I really think I need to talk about, and I don't want to insult everyone's intelligence here, but it's really just about retention. So that is a huge lesson from 175 million installs, because I do want to emphasize again, Dubsmash scaled prematurely. Now, some of you may recognize this guy. This is Neymar. He is a footballer with FC Barcelona. Now, in April 2015, he posted this dub, all right? This is the dub that launched 12 million installs. No shit. So basically here we go. This is Brazil. I pulled this data last night, and people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing some historical research here. So go in here at like the first 8 days, it's nice and quiet. All of a sudden, Neymar posts it. He has 60 million Instagram followers, so he posted it on Instagram, and then literally by day 12, you have 1.6 million installs on a given day, right? So, but we see that this was not to be sustained at all, right? So what we did now, over the course the rest of the month of April, that dropped back down to reality, and then actually right now holds to about 8 to 20,000 installs per day that we get in Brazil, depending on the time of week. But overall, in the month of April, it was 12 million. And we realized that at that point, you know, we're a utility, we weren't a destination. And if we wanted to take Dubsmash and actually make it a large company, a valuable company, we needed to become the destination itself. And so what we were doing is we were building on other people's networks, and we weren't building our own network. And so that's where we resolved to become a video platform than simply just a video creation tool. So again, retention 101, just to talk about it, you know, if we look at it, the y-axis is percentage of people that come back to your application, and then the x-axis is over time. And then early with the creation app, we were at a 3% 90-day retention, which, as we know, is not good at all. So, but anything that, what I emphasize always to my product team, I try not to be super jargony about it, but hey, listen, just get that long tail, get it flat. And getting it flat just simply means that users have found value in your platform, that they realize that there's something they want to come back to and use time and time again. So that is our first thing. Make sure that we have a product that has long-term value. And then finally, there's quite a bit of stable features that you can do to really get everything up, and there's no one thing to do it, but educating users on onboarding, making sure that if you're a network that you have friends, make sure you're bringing relevant content into the platform, and then push. Make sure you re-engage them over and over again in order for them to sustain themselves as a user of your platform. So we had 3% retention. Luckily, under my tenure, we now have 28%, and we are hopefully trying to get up to the 50-60% range, which is my goal over the next year. It's going to be hard. So, yay, retention. So basically, the big takeaway is acquisition without retention is stupid. And the problem that I have all the time is I get quite a bit of pressure from Apple, from Google, because we have a very high conversion rate in the app and Play stores, that they always wanted, like, hey, do the iMessage app store, do all these material design things, we'll feature you, and it takes away from the focus of building a platform that is highly retaining. And so a lot of times I have to say no to these things because it just simply isn't valuable to us over the long term. I don't want to have a bunch of NEMARs occur all the time. So. But we do want it to happen sometime. So how do we build sustainable acquisition while at the same time maintaining a high rate of retention? If you think about it, like the conundrum is, do we keep our videos on our platform, or do we actually go out and put them on other platforms and bring people into our application? So I'm happy to say that in October we had 4.2 million completely organic installs. I'm super excited about, but we actually really messed up at one point and had much lower than this. And the reason why is because currently Dubsmash, you have all these different videos that are on these different platforms. They drive traffic into Dubsmash, and then we in turn take those videos and put them back out onto these external platforms. We actually over the summer decided to completely shut off the external sharing, force users into sharing onto our platform. And it was great for retention. Retention jumped up dramatically. Simultaneously, our acquisition dropped dramatically because we lost top of mind with the user. So what we have done now is we force users to go and create on our platform, and then we say, please share onto your external platforms as you normally do. And luckily, the amount that we've been able to share externally has been able to buoy us over time, so we're able to grow our monthly actives and our daily actives on a consistent basis. Now, on internal platforms, like sharing on platform, we have to give users a reason to actually come into the application. And so what we're doing is we're actually building, off of Dubsmash's strengths. It's simply not just lip syncing anymore. We want to expand our format. We're going out and we're making it a really fun video experience where you can interact with videos, where you can playfully decorate videos. People typically draw much more vulgar things than the shooting star on this platform. But another thing is we're experimenting with quite a few things, with augmented reality. We have face masks. This is my analog mask, but we have face masks. We have a lot of different things here really to drive long-term engagement. And so we believe that we can come up with a really fun video platform that people can play with. And we can't neglect the external channels. So luckily, because Dubsmash is so ingrained with pop culture, we don't have any problem finding content. And it's actually better to not talk to partners, because if you talk to partners wanting them to post for Dubsmash, then they start asking to get paid for it. So we let them do it themselves, then we ask them after the content is created if we can go use it. So if some of you are big Westworld fans, we did get the 3 primary actors, not Ed Harris yet, there is an Anthony Hopkins one, where they were dubbing on set, and it was super fun for them. And so this has actually been a great kind of tool of acquisition, is this influencer platform on external networks to bring new users back in. And we've actually reactivated quite a few users because they're also big Westworld fans. So in the end, this kind of final takeaway is that we didn't know what sustainable acquisition meant for us over the long term. And it's something that we had to painfully learn over time. There are dozens of A/B tests behind me. There are plenty of, long nights and broken hearts because we weren't able to come up to this lesson earlier. But, now we know why we're here, why this acquisition works for us. So why is Dubsmash here? I think that what we're doing is we are tackling this big challenge of turning into a large video platform. And so right now, it's such a huge market. It's such a fun product. There's such a huge market. It's growing so fast. People aren't normally taking selfie videos, and we've been able to create a market for ourselves to be able to do that. And so what I hope to do here is not come to you as an advertiser, but in the future, Dubsmash wants to be a publisher. And so this is something that we're working on, and we just want to let you guys know that that is in our future. And so finally, just to summarize it, obviously I'm a huge cheerleader for Dubsmash. I think Dubsmash is awesome. Virality is engineered. I do believe that, again, there are lessons to do it. Focus your teams on it, focus your clients on it, and make sure that people are building a product and really using these channels available to them. Don't acquire if you don't have retention. It just doesn't work. And just remember that you have to really learn sustainable acquisition. You have to learn what works for you. And then finally, we will be an awesome publisher at some point in our lifetime. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please reach out to me afterwards. I know I have ignored a bunch of emails earlier, but I promise I will answer them in the coming weeks. Thank you.